Hi, this is week 2 of the Writer's Hypnosis Project, or the Hypnosis Writers Project. Last week I had 6 writers. We outlined their goals, we outlined their challenges, and then I had a session with each of them using a variety of hypnotic techniques. And at the end of that first week, I gave them each a questionnaire to fill out so that I could track the progress that they made over the course of that week to see how effective the hypnosis was with them. All in all, the too long didn't read synopsis is that the hypnotism had a very positive effect on everybody, but the extent to which it helped them varied from person to person. It was also interesting, it varied from person to person in ways that I thought were interesting in terms of it related to some of their issues that they had when they began. So let's just go through that. So the first one here, I'm going to just bring it up here and I'll bring it on the screen. So I was asking generally what their weeks were like, and this was outside of writing. And so, but some of them I think also had included some of the writing, which was invigorating, productive, not bad, making progress. It was stressful. I had 2 stressfuls there, and I had another continuing to struggle. And I asked if there was anything else that was notable or interesting, something that they noticed when they just during the course of the week. And here, this is interesting. One of them wrote that my mind was clear and older creative ideas were coming to the surface. Another one was obstacles have been removed from my daily life, not just my writing. Less fear and avoidance of writing. 2 things. After our first session, I felt energized in general, and I'm looking forward to further tackling my project. So whereas previously it was hanging over my head like a dark cloud. Well, that's good. Somebody noticed that they were incredibly calm and focused in the days immediately following, and they were finally writing. All right, and then I asked them, did you find yourself making any changes to your habits or routine, and if so, what were they? And they wrote, I was taking time to brainstorm and flesh out ideas. They found it very easy to hit the goals in other areas of their life, and it was actually pleasant and simple. Checking things off their to-do list, looking for more to do. That's great. They said yes, just scheduling their own writing time and thinking about how to make it work. They said my change seems to be in attitude and approach. And they said if I had 5 minutes, I wasn't afraid to use it to write, even if if it wasn't a sacred focus space, I went wild with it. And then somebody said I went back to my morning routine of writing for the first 2 days after the first session. And then in productivity, I asked them to be as honest as possible in terms of the amount of productivity. It's not the only criteria that I'm judging the success of the sessions on, but for me, it's an important one because my goal is to get these people writing. So one, they didn't achieve their 2 pages a day goal, but they did manage to write 6 pages and initiated a research project in regards to the screenplay that they had been working on for 7 months. So great. I hit the target and sometimes doubled it. I think this was probably the most, the biggest change that I had among the writers. The biggest win was that it came effortlessly and I enjoyed it. Not quite completed a page, but I have started writing this project anew and from an entirely different approach, and I think this will give me some key insights to what my project is truly about. 2 to 4 pages for the first 3 days and then petered off. And then first 2 days, 2 pages a day, 1 scene per day, and then nothing after that. Okay, so variety, it seemed like everybody had some increase in their work, which is great. Some way more than others, obviously. But I think it's interesting just as for something to, for me, it really gives me something to talk about in terms of where is the resistance in the life and in their work habits, and allows me as a hypnotist to focus in on those things and address them, and to see if we can really make those changes that are necessary in that specific as I can make it be. All right, and then I asked them on a scale of 1 to 10 how satisfied were they with their creative output, and we had 1 10 out of 10, which is great, and we had 2 which were 4 out of 10. Now it's definitely a big shift up from how satisfied they were, but we'll see how that holds up and how that continues over the coming days. Did you experience any positive changes in any of the areas that I've listed below? And again, this was an echo of the first questionnaire where I had, which I asked them to identify as many challenges or obstacles for them. And so this is what they said in terms of noting positive changes, and I asked them to click as many as they had. So 4 chose that there was a greater creative output. 2 of them said that they had better sense of time and place that they created for themselves to write. Another 2 said that they had more discipline. 3 said they had more commitment, which is great. And 4 of them said they had more focus and concentration, which is great. Flow, 3, and now this next one is confidence, and this is what we focused on in that first session. And 6 out of the 6 said that they had better confidence. So I'm going to say that that's successful first session right there. Here we go. One said that they had more sense of sharing. 5 had a greater sense of relaxation, which is great. And writing authentically, which wasn't a big thing on the first questionnaire that they did, but this one, 2 of them noted that they felt like they were writing more authentically, which I think was interesting. Is there anything that you'd like to add to about your writing? Any interesting observations about it? And there was a lot of talk about that interior voice, that interior editor. They said the voice shut up and the joy was back. That's great. I was far easier on myself than previous. What little work there was quite focused and creative. Okay, and I'm amazed at how present my writing was on my mind. Instead of considering it a chore or a should, I found myself clearing space for it. It became a fun impulse and was going on my mind constantly. And so that's, I think, also really great. And then in this last section, I asked, because none of these writers had any or very little experience with hypnosis at all. And it was a source of some stress for me, but none of them had been hypnotized at all. So I was really curious about that experience in terms of, meeting their expectations, or was it what they expected? And so, and also the idea is that I really feel that as a hypnotist, that I need to engage with my client. It's not just a matter of saying words, speaking a script that is there and that their subconscious is going to do the work. It really does feel to me that I have to have a conversation, a partnership with my client, with my co-hypnotee, so that we're on the same page and that there are adjustments that are really easy for me to make as a hypnotist that could make the world of difference to the client. And so it's really important for me to get that feedback in order to make those little adjustments that could, unlock things for them. And we'll see how that goes in the weeks ahead. But here's some of the things. They said they were completely in awe about how quickly it happened and how lucid and calm I felt. And that is a very common sort of observation that people make, that I think people, because of TV and things like that, they have this image of hypnotism being like being asleep, unconscious, and then you wake up and you don't remember anything. And that's not really the case. There is some situations in which that you may want to use a little bit of amnesia or forgetfulness over the course to keep the client from sort of overanalyzing any session or something like that. But for the most part, you are lucid and aware and participating in your own hypnosis. Here's another one. I felt the exact moment that the resistance, anxiety, or fear that had been blocking me was scooped away. And again, with right now I'm studying with Freddie and Anthony Jacquin, and they both articulated this really important issue for me. It's you don't know when that change is going to be made, when something, that moment for your subject is going to happen for your client. It might be in the pre-talk that everything sort of comes together and they see things differently. Or it might be when they're, when you're counting them up from that situation and they're able to look back and see things in a new way. You don't know when exactly in the whole process, in that session or sessions, when that moment's going to occur. So it's really important to be aware as you're going through. So that's really great. And then somebody said, super cool. I'm generally a vulnerable person and feel weird afterwards, but I didn't feel weird. And that's good. I feel that's nice. It could be because I know you, but that usually makes me feel weirder. You know what? I know exactly what they're saying. Totally not fazed by my reactions. And that's because different people react differently when they're under hypnosis. And that's been one of the amazing experiences for me of doing this project, is that people do behave, they respond differently. And again, as a hypnotist, you have to get to know your clients so that you can respond to them on their own terms, in their own way. Not everybody reacts the same way, and that's okay. Anything else here? I felt the exact moment. It was a positive one. I came with this mindset that I was going to go with it. That's not to say that I was going to play along or fake it, but rather not fight it. And I go, that's really important. It's not going to help if you're just playing along. The idea is to try to engage your imagination and your intention and see where that takes you. And the hypnosis will do its work if you do yours, I think. Is there anything particularly that you'd like to focus for the upcoming week? So this was really important for me, so that in my notes I go, so this is what they were working on, and I know who answered. I knew who was having which issues or who were making these particular achievements as we were going along, and so I just adjusted my session plans accordingly. So, and here I wanted to ask them, I go, so what do you want? What's important to you? What is it that you want to work on? And some are, focusing, putting paper to pen, like getting that commitment, that discipline. That I have all of the answers and they're going to come effortlessly. Continue with the confidence and dealing positively with setbacks. Letting go, output. And then if we can focus on commitment. So there was a theme that really went up there. So we know that for this next week coming up, that is going to be a big thing, is going to be trying to increase people's output, people's commitment, people's excitement about getting down to work. So I've got my work cut out for me there. And I just wanted to say something about dealing with setbacks. The other thing that came out in conversations during the sessions that didn't come out here in the questionnaire was that there's a talk about sometimes when people are coming in with a habit or a routine that they want to change, that there's a sort of like a black and white, a real binary thinking. So that, if you're a smoker and you quit for a couple of weeks and you go, and then you sort of, you drop off the wagon, you have a cigarette and you go, now I'm back. See, I knew I couldn't quit. And likewise for writers, and I know I have had this experience myself, that there's a tendency to go when you have these goals and you go, I'm going to write every day. And then you miss a day because life happens and gets in the way and things get in the way. Sometimes Facebook gets in the way, but oftentimes there are legitimate reasons why you don't meet your goal. And I won't say it's easy. There is a tendency to go, oh, great, that's it. So I guess I can't do that. I can't do it. But I've noticed with all of the writers that I'm working here that none of them have gone, you know what, so why bother? So I missed a couple of days. I didn't get that goal, so I guess I won't. I guess this is dumb. I guess I'm not going to do it. None of them. They all said, I got it. I feel okay I feel okay with myself that I missed it. I used to beat up myself, but now I go, that's okay. Just keep writing. And I think that's great. And then finally, just any other comments. And this is great. And this is self-gratifying here that it was so cool. It was amazing. They feel lucky to do this. I feel lucky. I'm the one that feels lucky to do this. It was a relaxing and energizing experience. Somebody said, no, I don't have anything to add on this. This is good. And then it was very relaxing. And I liked the way it sort of like it felt like after a massage. So that was the other thing that I am going to address for next week's, or maybe it's a couple of weeks away. I don't want, after every session with me, that everyone goes, like they're coming up out of a sleep and kind of like, oh. I don't mind that feeling. There is like a nice sort of positive feeling of having to go through that sort of relaxation and things, and you can feel good. But I want them to know that their writer's mind can work, and the hypnosis is working when you're awake, alert, and I'm going to add some things on that in the coming sessions ahead. So that's it for this week. I'm okay with this one. I'm not going to edit it. I'm going to pop some of the graphics on it, and we'll see you next week. And just to add on this, I have confirmed the writers have all agreed that they're going to come on for this YouTube Live. So I am thrilled and excited. So it'll be your chance to ask them questions about their experience and ask me about, what I did. I said I was going to talk a little bit about the techniques that I use. I'm going to save that for a little bit just because I don't want to focus too much on the techniques. They're all very common techniques that if you're interested in hypnosis that you probably used or you've read about but you haven't used. But they're great and they're effective. So I will go, though, in detail on that on a later date. Okay? So thanks very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for the week 3.